Hey, everybody, welcome to Cinema Gulp. I'm Ben.
And I'm Ben. This is Flights and Flicks.
And on this episode of Flights and Flicks, we're doing adventure films.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys are new to Flights and Flicks, here's how it works. We pick 4 categories from a movie and we select 4 different beers to cover that category. So we have story, character, filmmaker, and theme. And as we go through those categories of the film, we will sample these tasty beverages from our Cinema Gulp flights. So, Ben, what movie did you select for our adventure films?
I selected 1994's The Shadow, starring Alec Baldwin. It is one of the best Batman knockoffs you can see, and a great example of what like noir adventure was in the 30s.
I used to listen. There was this AM radio station in Southern California that played radio serials from the 30s, 40s, and 50s. And I got attached to Hopalong Cassidy and The Shadow. And I actually bought some vinyl of 4 of the original Shadow radio dramas, and I have it. And I think it's great. Does the movie hold up to that? We'll find out. But the movie that I selected for adventure, because it started out as a Disneyland ride, which is an adventure in and of itself. And the movie just exceeds the ride in every way, shape, or form. And that is 2003's Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. So, Ben, for The Shadow, let's get into your beers and let's get into the story. What'd you select, sir?
The Shadow, as you point out, Ben, was a serial radio drama from, I think, the 30s. I think the first one came out in the late 20s. The Shadow is a lot like Batman, but he predates Batman by a few years. He moves around in darkness, wears all black. He has a red shawl he wears that's like a distinctive look for him. He does guns, which Batman doesn't do. He has psychic and telekinetic abilities that Batman doesn't do. But what's kind of ironic about The Shadow and Batman, and then the Batman and Shadow films of the 90s, is The Shadow radio show heavily influenced the idea and concept of Batman, the comic. 50 years passes and Batman the movie comes out and it's a big hit. So these studios want to start making comic book movies or things that are in similar vein, old radio shows, all sorts of stuff. So The Shadow gets made. It became a knockoff of itself in a sense. It starts off like every good crime fighter. It's about a white guy who goes to Asia to learn magic and secret abilities and what have you.
Similar to Batman.
The twist on this is similar to Batman. Similar to Doctor Strange, similar to the Immortal Iron Fist.
Yeah.
The twist on this one, though, is Alec Baldwin's character, Lamont Cranston, is kind of a piece of shit. He's like a drug warlord. He lives in Asia now with coke nails on every single finger. And he cultivates and sells opium, and he kills villagers and burns their villages to the ground. One day he's visited by some kind of holy guru, a super monk. So yeah, Alec Baldwin's kind of an evil bastard at one point. Yeah, and the character he plays isn't that great either. Damn! His father figure, who brought him up as, I guess, a criminal in Asia or something like that. It's kind of vague. He is taken hostage, and to solve the situation, Lamont Cranston has his men just shoot through the dude. And then we get an impressive look of the one line of Mandarin that Alec Baldwin must have learned for this movie.
Mecca lecca hi, Mecca hiney ho.
And that's where he starts the long journey of like basically redeeming his soul. He comes to realize the evil he's done. The Shadow knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men. and he goes back to New York with his new skills, and he becomes a hero, not quite a superhero, but like a detective hero, and he's a crack shot, and everything's going good being a hero until the descendant of Genghis Khan shows up, and frivolity and excitement happen from there. It's an adventure movie. So for this one, I got Mind Haze, because the shadow has the ability to cloud men's minds and make them like you could be standing right next to them, but he looks like a shadow. He punches him out of nowhere. He does some cool stuff like that. The CG is not very good for the times, but outside the knife, there's not a ton of it. There's magic knife, by the way. Throw it in there, Ben. Somewhere there's magic knife. But yeah, so Mind Haze is a Firestone. Oh, sorry, it's from Firestone. It's a hazy tropical IPA. ABV 6.2, Firestone Walker's Brewing Company.
Let's give it a whirl.
Hazy
IPA.
Ooh, that just fogged this man's mind. Ooh.
What? Good or bad?
I like that. Now, for our returning viewers, you'll know I'm not much of an IPA guy, but that's good. That's smooth. Just a little bit. Hang on, let me check that again.
I love to say this to you on this show. Is it piney? Because you're always like, what the fuck is piney? Piney, like a pine tree. Is it piney?
I personally have never gone down on a pine tree, but no, it's tropical. It is it's tropical, as the can says. There's a little bit of tropics, like on the end there, a little pineapple maybe.
You've never taken some pine tree sap to the face before? All right.
You want to be a star? Go take some pine tree sap to your face.
The casting tree. But really quick, man, I found it. I wanted to show this to you. This is my vinyl of a few episodes of The Shadow, the radio drama. Very cool. They don't repress this, so this is an original from the 30s.
Wow.
And I'm cool. Very, very, very happy to have it. It's a gorgeous looking movie.
Oh yeah, the soundtrack's awesome.
The soundtrack's awesome. I love the camera work when there's a scene in that movie where somebody does the old fashioned, you stick the mail down into like the suction pipe or whatever. It's a really cool scene, the way the camera moves and stuff like that. Well,
let me talk about it now a little bit because
go for it.
Spoiler alert, the character is not that I think is not the Shadow, because the Shadow is fun. But I think there's a funner character in the movie. We'll get back to that in a second. But when we see the Shadow, he's in New York. He's been operating for a couple years, 2 years then. So he has what he does is when he saves someone, they become a member of his network of spies, and that's how he keeps track on things all over the city. And they have secret cars and decoder rings and like pneumatic tubes sending messages all over town with invisible ink. It's kind of cool. It's pretty cool to see. In fact, early in the film, the first time we see like the Shadow in action, he's saving a nuclear scientist. Some mafiosos have put him in the cement boots. Are about to throw him over a bridge. The Shadow does his thing and he saves the guy. And then to get the brick boots off of him, all that needs to happen is Alec Baldwin pulls out some guns and starts firing, and it works out great.
Which he does.
Yeah. Your eyesight starts to go a little bit as you get older, I guess. Our bad guy shows up. That is the last descendant of Genghis Khan, who seeks the Shadow's aid in taking over the world with their psychic powers and cruelty.
Okay, so story of Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. How do I sum it up? A kid who becomes a blacksmith assistant and a rich girl who becomes, I guess, a princess meet each other as kids and discover a medallion made of Aztec gold from the ship of Cortez. And this is a pirate movie, so it takes place in whatever fucking year pirates did their thing. When they grow up, she's wearing the medallion. A pirate stranger comes along and notices the medallion. And that would be one Captain Jack Sparrow. There's a curse on the ship called the Black Pearl. They need the medallion. but they need like the son of Bootstrap Bill. This it's convoluted. It's simple but convoluted. Everyone's a ghost because of this curse. Hijinks ensue. Just a great old-fashioned piece of filmmaking, roller coaster ride, adventure. Yeah, so you got the medallion. The medallion will lift the curse of the Black Pearl, which was Captain Jack Sparrow's ship. He got marooned on an island, and Captain Barbossa, played by Jeffrey Wright, took Jeffrey Rush. Sorry, he took the Black Pearl, but then they all turned into ghosts. I guess they were regular pirates. The medallion will lift the curse, and they will all live free in the sunlight and have lots of sex with prostitutes and eat lots of food again. The end.
You are a smelly pirate hooker.
One of the greatest things about this movie is the old-fashioned style of swashbuckling action scenes. They're all done in such like an adventurous, fun way. It reminds me of old pirate movies from the 40s and 50s. The Pirate and the Princess from 1944 with Bob Hope reminds me a lot of this movie. I watched that movie a lot as a kid. It's always kind of winking at the camera and slightly breaking the fourth wall. This movie doesn't necessarily do that, but it almost does. This whole movie takes place in the high seas, the Caribbean or the Caribbean, whatever the hell you want to call it. The set pieces, the blacksmith workshop, particularly interesting. It's just so full of creativity and creative stunt work, sword play, acrobats. If you know the scene I'm talking about, it's just brilliant. And along with the wonderful Klaus Ballant and Hans Zimmer score, doing all this stuff to just remind us of those old pirate movies that we remember. So I'm talking a lot about the filmmaking now because the story is fairly simple, even though I made it sound difficult. The beer that I chose is called Eclipse of the Tropics by Unseen Creatures Brewery. It is a dragon fruit and butterfly pea sour. Whatever a butterfly pea is, I do not know. But
better than moth poop, I guess.
Well, we'll find out. So I'm going to take a whirl. Dragon fruit is there. I like dragon fruit. Every time I go to Hawaii, I get dragon fruit jam because it's delicious. That's pretty good. It's very sour. It's filling my mouth up.
That's what she said.
That pea's going down real easy.
I don't know what that's supposed to taste like.
Is it spelled P-E-E?
It's a butterfly pea. Yeah, P-E-A. Not piss from a butterfly, Ben. But man, yeah, that salivates. That's pretty good. Ben, moving on to characters. Characters in the shadow.
The beer I picked is American Bastard. It's a pretty famous beer. Already getting there, guys. It's 7.2 alcohol content. So let me tell you about something I do know. It's that the last ascent of Khan as the villain in this movie is one of my favorite movie comic book villains of all time. He's such a weird dude. He thinks he's almost like a god, and he every scene he's in with Alec Baldwin's kind of great. He really respects the evil piece of shit that Alec Baldwin used to be, and he's like there to like ask him to not serve under him, but to like as brothers rule the world together. And Alec Baldwin's of course not into it because he's a good guy. Like they complement each other a lot too. Like there's like never any scenes where they're like I hate you, and even when they're trying to kill one another. There's one point where Khan tricks Lamont into like following one of his henchmen to a restaurant, and he's there waiting for him, and he's wearing this just really nice like 3-piece suit, and he got the tie from I think Brooks Brothers, which is a callback to earlier in the film. You want to know where Lamont got his tie? I thought it was an interesting scene because it's the only scene in the entire film where Khan is not dressed in some kind of like Mongolian garb. Right. Or like a fancy robe or something. And he's in a suit, and it seems like it was really just to impress Lamont. And once again, try to, like, honestly, if I didn't know he was going to, like, you know, genocide a bunch of people, I'd be like, you know, he's kind of a cool dude. So, like, I think it was the sign of, like, respect. You know what I mean? Like when, like, I can't remember. It might be the last time he, like, says, like, look, this is the last time I'm going to do this the nice way. Otherwise, you got to stay out of my way while I take over the world. Yeah, so I thought he's a really funny character.
Great character.
Has some very, very delusional and grandiose ideas of why he should rule the world. He's an arrogant bastard. That's right. I was arrogant to think I could do 2 IPAs in a row. It's strong. Kind of malty.
Yeah. Stone is rough sometimes. Stone is rough. So for my character, I mean, come on. Who am I going to pick in Pirates of the Caribbean? Captain Jack Sparrow. Captain Jack Sparrow. Captain Jack Sparrow is one of the greatest movie characters of all time, in my opinion. So nuanced, so creative. The fact that they had nothing on the page with this character, and when Johnny Depp came in, he created it from nothing to make it. He added all the eccentric behavior and mannerisms and looks and just like his whole thing. I mean, obviously he based it off of Keith Richards, but that's loosely, because if you look at Keith Richards, he doesn't act like Captain Jack Sparrow. He's so funny, charming, mysterious, heroic at times, and occasionally even a little menacing, because he goes through this movie with you not really knowing the very first time you see it if he's going to land on the good side, because he does turn on Will Turner, no pun intended, and he's really Elizabeth Swann, Will Turner, like all these, aside from Barbossa, played by Jeffrey Rush, all these characters are very cookie cutter. But the fact that this movie, coming off of a Disney theme park ride, having Johnny Depp come in and create a character like Jack Sparrow, which transcend the ride, the movie just went, his character just went so past the lore and all that stuff. And he was gracious enough when that first, and I want to say second movie came out in 2003, 2006. He was in the ride, waving to people at the end. He actually went there to do that.
Oh, and I would like to swim to you, jump in your boat. What was that?
Johnny Depp's always been one of my favorite character actors. He always seems so fair and fun with fans and people. It's kind of weird, you know. You look back at like people just worshiping him at the altar, and how you couldn't get crowds to shut up when he showed to things like MTV Movie Awards, and then
Johnny Depp.
the whole fucking world just turned on him before they even knew what was really the truth about that whole thing. I digress. There's a good cast, though. I mean, Zoe Saldana's in this movie, and she's great. Jonathan Pryce is great. But Jack Sparrow is the reason to watch this movie. He's the only reason to watch this movie. I do love the action and all that stuff, but Jack Sparrow's amazing. So, Ben, I found this beer called Jack's Apple. And it's actually a sour. This beer, Ben, is a apple cinnamon pie crust sour. Are you jealous yet? But it is white as fuck. It looks like milk. So we're gonna give it a whirl. Cookie agrees, dude. That shouldn't exist. That is so fucking good. It tastes like an apple pie with like a scoop of vanilla ice cream, like the melted German apple pie with a scoop of vanilla ice cream. That's exactly what it tastes like. This is dangerous, man. But it's only 5% alcohol, so it would probably take a lot to get fucked up on it. Plus, it's kind of rich and thick, but
pretty tall can, dude. It's pretty tall.
Dude, that is legend. That's a thing. That Jack's Apple by Out of Order Brewing, by the way. That is so fucking good. That's as legendary as Captain Jack Sparrow himself.
You need to find yourself a girl, mate.
Or Davy Jones, for that matter. Oh my God. I say this every episode, Ben. That might be the best beer I've ever had on the show. Benicio del Toro does this a lot. Or he did it back a lot. He did it a lot when he was an up-and-comer. He would read a script where his character had like nothing to do and nothing to say, and he would make it interesting. Captain Jack Sparrow was supposed to be a really straight-laced, boring pirate, and look what we got. Because Johnny Depp's like, no, we have to make this guy like a fucking rock star. Moving on to filmmaker, Ben.
So for my filmmaker, I chose director Russell McKahey. He's done a bunch of stuff. I think The Shadow is a fun movie. It's not his best work. Some of his work doesn't seem that great at all. He is one of the greatest filmmakers ever made. That's ever made a film for one reason, and that reason is a much better movie than I watched called Highlander.
Yes,
one of the greatest fantasy films ever made.
Here we are, born to be kings.
Whatever you think about the franchise, the sequels, doesn't matter. Highlander is one of the greatest action fantasy films ever made, so for that I chose a Belhaven Brewery Scottish Ale in honor of Russell McCauley, who I'm sure had a few Scottish ales when he was making his best movie, and I'm sure he had a few drinks too when he was making The Shadow, and it shows in all the best ways. Here we go.
Cheers, Ben.
That's nice and watery.
Really?
Yeah. If that was your neck, it's sliced real quick. Not a lot of flavor. Pretty flat, watery. I wonder if that's... I think that's kind of how these ales are supposed to be. But, anyways, I kind of want to just talk about Highlander. In fact, let's just start the episode over.
Yeah, so for me, I'm with you, and I'm not sure how this beer is going to taste, Ben, because sometimes when we go with like foreign directors, I personally want to go with like their homeland as far as what was made there. So you never know what you're going to get. A lot of times when it's Eastern European or whatever, your beer is going to be kind of whatever. Gore Verbinski, I actually kind of like him a lot. He did the first 3 Pirates movies. He did kind of an underrated the Lone Ranger movie. I get why it didn't do well. It's kind of violent and weird, and Johnny Depp plays like a Tonto, which is weird.
Are you telling me that cowboy movie with the guy who likes to like sodomize people and eat parts of their body is like dark and weird?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like that movie, like I think it was supposed to be a family movie, but then you're right. It's just so like the villains are so bad. It's like it doesn't really work. But I did love Rango, which is an animated film that he also did with Johnny Depp. This little gecko or whatever the fuck he's supposed to be. I thought Rango was fantastic. So for the beer I chose, so his father was a nuclear physicist who was Polish, or mate is, I don't know if he's alive or dead, Polish through and through. And obviously Gore Verbinski, you don't think of him as being someone that was born in America, but he was born in Tennessee to Polish parents. So I did pick probably the second most popular Polish beer, and it's Perta, but the one that I was able to find, I couldn't find the original Perta, and I'm actually happy that I didn't, because I heard it's not good. This one is Perta Honey, so it's like a honey infused Perta Polish ale. I've never tried this, so let's see what happens. Ooh.
No good?
It's okay. I can see that. I can see why people said that Perta is not good, because this one has honey infused, and the honey is the only thing that keeps me from getting sick. It's like candle wax or
Well-
something. I don't know.
Well, okay, I'm going to do something for the first time in Flight Simulator history here. And I'm just going to say I've had Perla, which I think is the actual name.
It's Perta.
Is that not
it's
a L?
No, it's a T. It's a T.
Put
It
in
looks like an L,
Google.
but it's a T. I did my research. I looked
All
it up. Gore Verbinski.
Look at that. That's Perla. So this was an easy choice for me. I chose Boulevard Brewing Company Very Noir because the shadow is very noir. Ooh.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yes, this is a sour ale with mixed berries, 4.2 ABV. Yeah, so the shadow is it's got speakeasies and jazz bands and all the old cars and the buildings. You're missing Sam Gumshoe, because who needs them when the shadow's around? You don't need Batman. You got Femme Fatales and Tim Curry's there. It's a very
Yes, he is.
noir film, and it really that's something it really nails is like the themes of like that era. I think it's one of the strengths of the film. But yeah, let's give this beer a go.
Do it.
A little bit there, buddy.
Ooh, I like the color.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, that's noir-tastic. Noir-tastic. Yeah, it's a little tart, fruity. Tastes like berries, as it said.
Tart is good.
Yeah,
Tart
I
is
like
good.
this. Yeah. All right, drink this. Shadow.
All right, Ben, this one took me a little bit because honestly, there isn't much of a theme to to Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. I guess you could say don't trust anyone. I guess you could say violence solves everything. This movie's fucking violent. There's a lot of
always
death in
money
this
to be
movie.
had.
But at the end of the day, so many scenes, so many references, so many people worshiping this thing. It seemed that this movie's theme is about cherish your rum. Because so much of it is about rum.
Why is the rum gone? Why is the rum gone?
So what I did, I went against the grain, Ben. Instead of a beer, I got a Captain Morgan's little mini here,
Beautiful.
which I have not had in years. We used to drink this a lot back in our early 20s. I'm not going to drink this whole thing because this is liquor. But Captain Morgan spiced rum is what I'm going with for the theme of the movie. Love your rum. It's a pirate's life, Ben.
Mhm.
It is pretty damn good rum. I mean, I've been to the Caribbean. I've been to Jamaica. Rum there is way different. But this is spiced rum. It's sugary rum. It's sweet. It's good. Oh, boy. That just warmed my insides. Because that's liquor. It's liquor is quicker, as they say. To me, the theme is just have fun. It's a fun movie. It's swashbuckling action with pirates doing fun action stunts with great swashbuckling music and adventure and romance and so much comedy from Johnny Depp. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. I've never really cared for any of the movies after this one. That includes the two that top off this trilogy and then the two that came after. I didn't really care for those ones. It actually took me a long time to actually watch those ones. But this first one, perfect standalone adventure movie. So, Ben, let's pick our favorite beers of the episode. You go first, sir, from worst to best.
These were all fine beers, but two of these weren't Ben beers. Not this Ben, anyways. This Scottish ale from Belhaven. It's fine Scottish ale, but apparently I don't like Scottish ales. Arrogant Bastard was too much a malt for me. But this is where I'm torn now. It's a little bit of a tie, right? I like this Mind Haze Hazy Tropical IPA. All right, and this Berry Noir is really good. It's a sour ale, so it still counts as a beer. They're both kind of on the fruity side. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, folks, if you want a beer like I just described, that might also, going with Ben's Thieves, protect you from scurvy because of the fruit. The Mind Haze is a great, just straight up IPA. I really recommend it. I'm going to have one after the show tonight for sure. But I like those weird ones, man. That Berry Noir, it's tart, it's sour, it's crisp, it's berry, it's juicy, it's wonderful. It's all the things Alec Baldwin was in 1994.
I got to go from worst to best. By the way, everybody, Ben was right. It's Perla, not Perta. It's definitely my weakest. You know, I could only buy it in a 4-pack, Ben, so I do have 3 more to drink of these. I don't think it's bad enough to where I'm going to throw it out. I'm going to drink it. It's not, for some reason, it just hit me wrong when I had it in the flight, but I'm sure it's better than that. Next up for me, well, obviously, Captain Morgan Spiced Rum, because this one is legend. This is the dragon fruit sour. I think it's amazing. It was right there to be like, oh man, this is the best beer ever, until I had Jack's Apple in my mouth.
That's what she said.
This is the greatest thing I've ever drank in my entire life. like it's completely opaque. It looks like milk, and it is extraordinary, dude. If you can find this anywhere in Chicago, I implore you to get just a pint of it.
Ben, the way you talk about it, if I find that, I'm going to put it on my cereal.
So I got it. So I go to this liquor store where there's this row of things where it's like a cereal beer. They have like Golden Grams beer and like, like fucking Pebbles, Fruity Pebbles beer. And this one said Jack's Apple. And I was like, oh, it's probably like Apple Jacks. And that's kind of what it tastes like. But I haven't had Apple Jacks since I was a kid. But the fact that it says apple cinnamon pie crust sour, it nails all that. But it also has like I said, like a scoop of vanilla ice cream with it, you know?
Sounds good, man.
Yeah, so that's my favorite. It's fucking incredible. So is Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. So is The Shadow from 1994.
It's incredibly better than you think. It's worth a watch. It's good.
I love The Shadow. It was misunderstood. It was misunderstood at the time because they weren't ready for that. You know, had it come out like a couple years after something like Pulp Fiction and LA Confidential.
I think it was supposed to come out a year earlier, and it got pushed or something. You know, to be honest. But yeah, I missed that. Just missed the window of like riding those Batman coattails. I think, you know.
Yeah. Well, check it out, especially for Alec Baldwin. I heard he's a good shot. Too soon?
I don't know. This movie's like 30 years old, so.
Well, no, you know.
Oh, because of the murder!
He shot somebody. Come on, Ben. Get with the program. Thanks for watching Flights and Flicks Adventure Movies. For Cinema Gulp, I'm Ben.
And I'm Ben, and we drink your cinema.
I drink it up!